I hope Oscar De La Hoya is lying here, because in this interview, he claims that he made a great offer to Jermall Charlo to fight Canelo Alvarez. I believe in the interview, he says it was either late 2018 or early 2019. He made this offer to Charlo, and Charlo turned it down. Unbelievable. Again, this is why I hope it's not true. I hope De La Hoya is lying, because if he's not lying, then the situation over there at PBC is even worse than I thought it was. De La Hoya, who obviously knows Al Haymon, because Haymon took most of De La Hoya's fighters several years ago, De La Hoya suggests that Al Haymon is the one preventing these fighters from taking these opportunities. He claims that Deontay Wilder is only having the Tyson Fury fight because he demanded it. He claims that Al Haymon and PBC didn't want him to take the Fury rematch. I don't know whether that's true, but that's what Oscar De La Hoya claims. Now, of course, with regards to Jermall Charlo, he received an offer from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn said he contacted Charlo directly on social media and then sent him the offer to his email. So there's certain people in PBC saying that they haven't received any offers from Eddie Hearn for Andrade to fight Charlo. But Eddie Hearn saying he didn't contact them. He contacted Charlo directly. Okay? And he made him this big offer. And as far as we know, radio silence from Charlo. Why is he turning down big offers? Al Haymon appears to have way too much control over his fighters than he should. That's what it appears to me. When you look at Charlo, what is he doing in the middleweight division right now? Who's he fighting? All the action is over on DAZN. Eddie Hearn has offered him just a one-fight deal on DAZN. He can go back to fighting on Fox or wherever he wants to, Showtime afterwards. If he beats Andrade, no problem. Just like Ramirez, right? Ramirez fought on, was it DAZN they fought on? I think it was DAZN, but anyway, it was a one-off fight. Ramirez then went back to fighting on ESPN again. No problem. So how can Charlo turn that down? But even worse, how could you turn the Canelo fight down? Because that really is indefensible. You know, PBC was something I really supported in the early days. I was a PBC fan. Let's be real. I loved Al Haymon's vision of reviving boxing in America and turning it from a niche sport back into a mainstream sport. This is what Al Haymon tried to do in the early days of PBC. He flooded the American market with free boxing. He tried to bring back the glory days. I was a big supporter of it. Even though I'm not in America, I understood that the more popular boxing is in America, the more young kids are going to take the sport up, and the more chance we're going to see another Mike Tyson, another Muhammad Ali, another Roy Jones. I understand this, which is why I was such a big supporter of PBC. And of course, Al Haymon had a good reputation with his fighters. There was no lawsuits I was aware of or anything like that. So, big supporter of his in the early days. But PBC has taken a turn for the worse in a major way. Because now, Al Haymon appears to be brainwashing fighters and steering them away from great opportunities, career high paydays. I mean, we've seen that with Deontay Wilder in the past year or so. Steering them away, apparently, and I'm assuming it's Al Haymon here, maybe it was Shelley Finkel, maybe it was Wilder himself. But given the consistency that we see with PBC fighters in terms of their decision making, I have to imagine that Al Haymon played a big part in Wilder turning down the AJ fight, turning down the DAZN deal. I have to also imagine, as De La Hoya does, that Al Haymon played a big part in Jermall Charlo supposedly turning down the Canelo fight, which is insane. Because let's say Charlo didn't think he would get a fair shake against Canelo on the judges' scorecards, and that fight's probably going the distance. Well, Canelo is such a massive star that even if you lose, but you put up a good display, you're going to become a star off the back of that, potentially. I mean, we saw Dillian Whyte, for example, when he was an obscure contender, an obscure prospect, get knocked out by Anthony Joshua, but used that as a springboard to build his own career because he put up such a valiant effort against Joshua and he was such a good fight. Now, Canelo is a way bigger star than AJ was when he fought Dillian Whyte. And of course, Charlo is a bigger name in boxing than Dillian Whyte was when he fought AJ. So all you got to do is go in there against Canelo. He's going to pay you your career best purse, that's for sure. Even if it's not what you think you should be getting or what you want based upon your ego, it's going to be more than you've been paid before. And as long as you put up a good effort, then your career is going to go to the next level. Yeah? So insanity to turn it down. The only good excuse that Charlo could have for turning that fight down is if he was injured or something. But other than that, absolute madness turning down a Canelo fight. What is Charlo doing over there on PBC at middleweight? There's nobody to fight there. All the action is on DAZN. What's this guy doing? Turning down opportunities like that. Particularly the Canelo one. It's just absolute madness. And it appears as though Al Haymon has got some pimp-like mind control over most of his fighters because they all come out with the same kind of rhetoric. They all seem to make these bizarre decisions for their careers. And he manages to convince them, it would seem, to make decisions which benefit Fox, Showtime, and Al Haymon more so than the fighters themselves. But somehow he convinces them that this is the right thing for them. I think one of the things, and this is pure speculation, that Al Haymon must do is he fills their brains with so much poison about the competition that they're scared to go anywhere else. I mean, we saw Mikey Garcia hesitate and hesitate and hesitate for what? Well over a year about signing with Matchroom and DAZN. Eventually he did. One of the few, if not the only, PBC fighter who's done so far. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why was he so hesitant? What had PBC and Al Haymon been whispering in his ear? I can only imagine that's Heyman's tactics, to just fill their brains with so much poison and propaganda that they're scared to leave. Not because they, might get sued or anything, but just they think everybody else is no good. And look, I'm not here to say that one promoter or one network is better than all the others for everybody. No. As a fighter, you have to look at your division. You have to look at your individual needs and, take it on your own unique basis. Yeah. So for some fighters, it's not going to be best for them to be on DAZN and with Matchroom or with Golden Boy. For some fighters, it's going to be best to be on ESPN with Bob Arum. For other fighters, it's going to be best to be with Al Haymon. But when you look at the likes of Jermall Charlo, I mean, what's he doing at 160? How is it best for him to stick to doing what he's doing and turning down Canelo fights and turning down Andrade fights? How's that best for him? Maybe Al Haymon thinks it's best to try and build Charlo as a star in his own right on Fox. Maybe that's what he's convinced him of, keeping him away from those fights, because if he was to lose to a Canelo, if he was to lose to an Andrade, well, he can't say that I'm the best in the division. Al Haymon was the mastermind behind Floyd Mayweather. And obviously Floyd Mayweather was a great fighter, but there was a lot of trickery as well when it came to building Floyd Mayweather's brand and building his reputation. Because Mayweather was very, very selective about who he fought and when he fought him. And Al Haymon was the mastermind behind all that. And it appears as though he's trying to take the Mayweather blueprint and apply it to all his other fighters. But of course, his other fighters are not as talented as Mayweather was. So he has to be even more careful about how he matches them. But he still seems to be trying to preserve the O's of many of his fighters. The fighters who he wants to build into Stars, that is. Because there are other fighters in Haymon's stable who doesn't really care about that much. You know, he'll let them go fight here, there, or everywhere. But the fighters who he wants to become stars, he seems to be quite precious about preserving their O, and the only time he wants to risk them, for the most part, is in-house. He doesn't like risking them outside a house. I mean, let's say Jermall Charlo fights Andrade and loses. How is Al Haymon then going to try and market Charlo as the best middleweight in the world? Because that's clearly what he wants to try and do, as far as I can tell. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Again, Oscar De La Hoya is a questionable character. Let's just put it that way. Which is why I say, I hope he's lying. Because, let's be real, Oscar De La Hoya is not somebody who has never told a lie in his life. But it's very possible that in this instance, he's actually telling the truth, given what we know about PBC in the past. You know, the way they tend to maneuver their fighters. So let me know what you think, people. When will Jermall Charlo wake up and smell the coffee? Will it ever happen? Did he really turn down the Canelo fight? And those of you who are PBC fanboys out there, I know you're watching. Try and tell me how you can justify him turning down Canelo. How can you justify that? The chance to become the man in the division. Career high payday. Even if he loses, his stock goes up, as long as he gives a good account of himself. How can you justify that? And also the Andrade fight. Come on. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Haymon, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.